Alright, so as we progress towards the pseudocode part of the paper 2, which is the major part of the paper 2, we should go towards the terms that lead us to a pseudocode. So, first and foremost, we'll be talking about identifiers. Identifiers are the variables, are the name of the variable in which you store the data. Like we discussed that in data type videos. What are identifiers? An identifier is a name assigned to a variable, function, array, or other programming element. It helps in uniquely identifying these entities within a program. So earlier I defined that identifier is a name assigned to a variable, but a function, array, or other programming element can also be an identifier. So identifier is anything, a name to identify a programming element. That is how you should term it. Now, key properties of identifiers. They should be unique. Like each identifier should be unique. You cannot keep a same name for a variable and a function. They must be different, they must be relevant. Then meaningful. Yeah. So relevance or meaningfulness is the same thing. The name should represent this purpose. For example, total marks instead of X. Like if you're inputting total marks, you should identify that variable as total marks instead of X. Why? Because if any other programmer looks into your code and says that you have written input X, but he does not know will be the what is the user supposed to input. How will he know? After you have coded it, you know what X is, but he doesn't. There are comments for it, but that's not how it works. So you should identify it with a meaningful name. Thus, identifiers must be meaningful. Then following naming conventions, rules set by programming languages, no specific name and etc. So basically, you'll be asked 2 to 3 questions regarding identifiers in CS paper 2. These will be maximum of 2 marks, and they'll ask you number one, give a suitable identifier name to a variable that is storing this info. You can basically just comprehend the info given by them and make it an identifier name. For example, if they say write an identifier name for total number of students in class. So this is what they have given you, and you need to identify this variable with an identifier. So you can say total students. This is an identifier. Now I did not like have a space. I rather had a underscore here. There was a reason for it because there are like certain rules regarding identifiers, and we'll look into it now. So basically, identifier is just a name for a particular thing in a program, and it should be meaningful so that you maintain the decorum for that particular program. So now different programming languages have different rules, but some common ones include must start with a letter. Identifier is like student age, not second place. This is correct, this is wrong. Can contain letters, marks 2024, marks 2024. So now you cannot have this dash thing. You can have an underscore as like uh space. Alternative space would be an underscore, not a dash, because that dash indicates different thing. Cannot contain spaces, as I told you earlier. Cannot be a reserved keyword like my class. So for example, class is a reserved keyword. Why is a class a reserved keyword? Because class is identified as a different thing in a language, in a programming language. Class is, you'll deal that in OOP and uh, in other things. Like class is a particular set of data in a programming language. It cannot be an identifier. For example, you cannot name a function because function is a function, and you cannot like name a data type integer int as int, because int will be identified as a data type rather than a name. So basically, when you'll type class, it will be identified as that particular programming feature. It won't be identified as your uh, name for the identifier. So there should be case sensitive, like my variable is not equals to my variable. As you can see, each and everything is same, just the case of m is different. So my variable is not equals to my variable. So whatever your identifier name is, their case is, their convention for it is, you must carry on with that for the entire code so that it is traceable. And that's pretty much it.